instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining Srimad Bhagavatam class today. May I know who all joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Narot Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvindaksha Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindaksha Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining every day and announcing your name every day first. Thank you, Prabhu, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai. All glories to the assembly. This is Aditi Devi Dasi from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your association and nice starting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudevs, all glories to all the devotees of Japa Sangha, such wonderful, shining devotees. I'm very, very thankful to Krishna for connecting me to such a superb group. Always make me remember Krishna. Morning, evening, Chaitanya Chaitanya, every time. East or west, your team is the best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sukaka Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your enthusiastic participation in the class, and also you're encouraging all of us, Prabhu. It is all because of Guru and Srila Prabhupada's mercy and all devotees' mercy. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol Mati. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nice to hear your voice, Mataji. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashimati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and chanting so beautifully. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the
Hare
call.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, all glories to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi from
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your association. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. This is Pooja Arora from Haridwar Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pooja Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Shiromani Nandarani Devidasi from Krishna Kathadesh. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Shiromani Nandarani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your association. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyamagauri Devidasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shyamagauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nice to see you, Mataji. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day in all the calls and giving your sweet association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Induleka Karuna Devidasi from Lincoln. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Induleka Karuna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nice to hear your voice, Mataji. Thank you so much for all your services, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Anita from Sharjah.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Danut Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you so much for joining every day and announcing your name. Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji is already on the call. We will start the recording. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Krishna Dhan Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam 6th Canto, Chapter 1, Verse 15. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your valuable association and time this morning. Before I hand over the call, I request Aditi Mataji, please take over and give the brief introduction of today's speaker. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, Krishna Dhan Prabhuji. This is the brief introduction for His Grace Krishna Dhan Prabhuji. Krishna Dhan Prabhuji is a senior brahmachari and a full-time preacher at ISKCON Nasik since 2008. He is presently the president of ISKCON Nasik and looks after youth preaching activities in Nasik. As the founder and director of Samruddhi School of Leadership, he has been stressing on how crucial it is to train and guide the teenagers. His recently published book, Get Set Go, Student Success Handbook, is highly acclaimed for its lucidity and a practical guide in Krishna consciousness. His motivational speaking has struck chords with many industrialists and also youth in bringing all to the platform of Krishna consciousness. His seminars and courses based on Vedic scripture has found a niche among corporates and colleges across Mumbai. He is also a committee member of Gopal Garden High School. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Once again, welcome to the call. And I wanted to say you thank you, Prabhu. Every day you put different status on your phone. I was waiting to say thank you to you because that status that you put is having lots of meaning. And whenever I copy and put it on my status and everybody asks, can you send it to me? Can you send it to me? And thank you, Prabhuji. There's a lot of meaning. And that day I wanted to search for that and you just put it and I get my answer. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you for such a warm welcome. And it's my pleasure to be here amongst the august assembly of devotees here who are eager to hear Srimad Bhagavatam always. And I'm here after a long time. So let us begin by Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 6. Maybe I can just share the screen with all of you. It's already shared. Very good.
Prabhuji, do you want to share or do you want us to share? What would you?
I can share.
Oh, okay then.
So, Canto 6, Chapter 1, text 15. Very famous verse of Srimad Bhagavatam and quite often quoted by Srila Prabhupada at various places. The verse goes like this. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agham dhunvanti karsnena niharam iva bhaskaraha. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful action with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. This verse has got very elaborate and big purport. In the previous verse, Shukdev Goswami gave the example that the dried leaves of the creeper beneath a bamboo tree may be completely burned to ashes by fire, although the creeper may sprout again because the root is still in the ground. Similarly, because the root of sinful desire is not destroyed in the heart of a person who is cultivating knowledge, but who has no taste for devotional service, there is a possibility that his sinful desires will reappear, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.4. Shreya Shrutim Bhakti Mudastyate Vibhav Klishyanti Ye Kevala Bodhalabdaye. Speculators who undergo great labor to gain a meticulous understanding of the material world by distinguishing between sinful and pious activities, but who are not situated in devotional service, are prone to material activities. They may fall down and become implicated in fruitive activities. If one becomes attached to devotional service, however, his desires for material enjoyment are automatically vanquished without separate endeavor. Bhakti parishanu bhavo viraktir anyatra cha. If one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, material activities, both simple and pious, automatically becomes distasteful to him. That is the taste of Krishna consciousness. Both pious and impious activities are actually due to ignorance, because the living entity as an eternal servant of Krishna has no need to act for his personal sense gratification. Therefore, as soon as one is reclaimed to the platform of devotional service, he relinquishes his attachment for pious and impious activities and is interested only in what will satisfy Krishna. This process of bhakti, devotional service to Krishna, Vasudeva Parayana, relieves one from reactions of all activities. Since Maharaj Parikshit was a great devotee, the answers of his Guru Shukdev Goswami concerning Karmakand and Jnanakand could not satisfy him. Therefore, Shukdev Goswami, knowing very well the heart of his disciple, explained the transcendental bliss of devotional service. The word Kechit, which is used in this verse, means a few people, but not all. Not everyone can become Krishna conscious, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 7.3. Manushyanam sahastreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam vetti tatvatah. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Practically, no one understands Krishna as he is. For Krishna cannot be understood through pious activities or attainment of most elevated speculative knowledge. Actually, the highest knowledge consists of understanding Krishna. Unintelligent men who do not understand Krishna are grossly puffed up, thinking that they are liberated or have themselves become Krishna or Narayana. This is ignorance. To indicate the purity of bhakti devotional service, Srila Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukullena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami further explains that bhakti is kleshagni shubhada, which means if one takes to devotional service, all kinds of unnecessary labor and material distress cease immediately and one achieves all good fortune. Bhakti is so powerful that it is also said to be moksha laghuta kruta. In other words, it minimizes the importance of liberation. Non-devotees must undergo material hardships because they are prone to commit sinful fruitive activities. The desire to commit sinful actions continues in their hearts due to ignorance. These sinful actions are divided into three categories: patak, mahapatak, and atipatak, and also into two divisions: prarabdha and aprarabdha. Prarabdha refers to sinful reactions from which one is suffering at present, and aprarabdha refers to sources of potential suffering. When the seeds, bija, of sinful reactions have not yet fructified, the reactions are called aprarabdha. These seeds of sinful actions are unseen, but they are unlimited, and no one can trace when they were first planted. Because of prarabdha, sinful reactions that have already fructified, one is seen to have taken birth in the low family or to be suffering from other miseries. When one takes to devotional service, however, all phases of sinful life, including prarabdha, aprarabdha, and bija, are vanquished. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.19, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, Yathagni susamruddharchihi karoti edhamsi bhasmasat tatha mad vishaya bhaktir Uddhavai namshi krusnashaha. My dear Uddhava, devotional service in relationship to me is like blazing fire that can burn to ashes all fuel of sinful activities supplied to it. How devotional service vanquishes the reaction of sinful life is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.6. In a verse spoken during Lord Kapila Deva's instruction to his mother Devahuti, Devahuti said, Yannam dheya shravananukirtanat yat prahvanat yat smaranat api kvachit swadopi sadyah savanaya kalpate kutah punahte Bhagavan nudarshanat. My dear Lord, if even a person born in the family of dog-eaters hears and repeats the chanting of your glories, offers respects to you and remembers you, he is immediately greater than a Brahmana and is therefore eligible to perform sacrifices. Therefore, what is to be said of one who has seen you directly? In Padma Puran, there is a statement that persons whose hearts are always attached to the devotional service of Lord Vishnu are immediately released from all reactions of sinful life. These reactions generally exist in 4 phases. Some of them are ready to produce results immediately. Some are in the form of seeds. Some are unmanifested, and some are current. All such reactions are immediately nullified by devotional service. When devotional service is present in one's heart, desires to perform sinful activities have no place there. Sinful life is due to ignorance, which means forgetfulness of one's constitutional position as an eternal servant of God. But when one is fully Krishna conscious, he realizes that he is God's eternal servant. In this regard, Srila Jiva Goswami comments that bhakti may be divided into 2 divisions. Santata, devotional service that continues incessantly with faith and love, and Kadachitki, devotional service that does not continue incessantly but is sometimes awakened. Incessantly flowing devotional service, Santata, may also be divided into two categories: service performed with slight attachment and spontaneous devotional service. Intermittent devotional service, Kadachit Ki, may also be divided into three categories: Raga Bhasamayi, devotional service in which one is almost attached; Raga Bhasa Shunya Swarupa Bhuta, devotional service in which there is no spontaneous love, but one likes the constitutional position of serving; and Abhasa Rupa, a slight glimpse of devotional service. As for atonement, if one has caught even a slight glimpse of devotional service, all needs to undergo prayaschitta atonement are superseded. Therefore, atonement is certainly unnecessary when one has achieved spontaneous love, and above that, attachment with love, which are signs of increasing advancement in Kadachit Ki. Even in the stage of Abhasrupa Bhakti, all the reactions of sinful life are uprooted and vanquished. Srila Jiva Goswami expresses the opinion that the word karsnena means that even if one has a desire to commit sinful actions, the roots of that desire are vanquished merely by Abhasrupa Bhakti. The example of Bhaskar, the sun, is most appropriate. The Abhasa feature of bhakti is compared to dawn, and the accumulation of one's sinful activities is compared to fog. Since fog does not spread throughout the sky, the sun need do no more than merely manifest its first rays, and fog immediately disappears. Similarly, if one has even a slight relationship with devotional service, all the fog of his sinful life is immediately vanquished. So the shloka is Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agham dhunvanti karsnena niharami va bhaskara. Kechit means some people. We have already seen Prabhupada mentions in the purport, because not everyone will become a pure devotee. Manushyanam sahastreshu kaschidyatat siddhahe. That verse is quoted by Prabhupada for reference. So that means Kechit kevalaya bhaktya. Kevala bhakti means unalloyed devotional service. And what is unalloyed devotional service? That also Prabhupada quotes from the definition of Rupa Goswami, which is given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anya Bilashida Shunyam and Jnana Karma Devnavtam. And Vasudeva Parayanaha, when is completely attached to the Supreme Lord. Agham means that person's sinful reactions. Dhunvanti means to destroy. That person's sins are destroyed. Karsnena means completely. There are two words, Krishna and Krutsna. So Krutsna means completely. So Karsnena here means completely, fully destroyed. Niharami va bhaskaraha. And the analogy is given. What is this analogy? Just as sun, when sun appears, just by the appearance of the sun, all the fog is gone. So similarly, just by the slight appearance of bhakti, and for that Srila Prabhupada ji gives elaborately in the last part of the purport, Jiva Goswami's classification of bhakti into various stages. Basically, they are like levels of advancement, and the lower level is considered as abhasa. It means like just a glimpse of devotional service. It's not completely pure. It has not yet reached the perfection, but it has just begun. So even that beginning stage of bhakti itself is enough to completely destroy the sins of a person, sinful reactions of the person. And this even if you see so many examples and analogies mentioned, even by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita or by Shukdev Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam, they are very apt, perfect analogies. And we also have experienced this, one time we had been to Vrindavan, and we go to Vrindavan via Delhi. So we reached there in the morning, and the fog was so dense. You also must have experienced a dense fog, where even someone at a distance of 1 feet, you can't see that person. Such a dense fog. So that fog, the fog of Delhi is very famous. You also must have seen. So in Vrindavan, that type of fog was there, and we were not able to even see someone else early morning. But as soon as the dawn broke and the day began by the appearance of sun, we were not able to see the sunlight per se, but some glimpses, some reddish light was there, and soon within half an hour the entire fog was like as if nothing was there in the night, and then we could see the sun also. So in the morning we don't see the sun first, but just we can notice the appearance of the sun. So similarly here, this analogy is perfectly applicable to bhakti, that just by the appearance of the first ray of bhakti, it will destroy all kinds of simple reactions of a person. Just as the first rays of the sun, their appearance destroys the fog completely, and you can see things as they are. And here in the purpose, Prabhupada mentions that the root cause basically is ignorance, our forgetfulness of our relationship with Krishna. And when that ignorance is destroyed, then the person don't have to work for sense gratification separately, because the person is established in his or her relationship with Krishna, and that will be the source of what we can say happiness for that fellow. And then there no more extra endeavor is required for sense gratification, because we engage in sense gratification out of ignorance, forgetting our relationship with Krishna and trying to seek happiness through outside objects, Krishna ether, Krishnetar, something other than Krishna. But when we get connected to Krishna, seek shelter and refuge in him, then we don't seek for any other type of happiness through sense gratification. And then there are no more sins actually committed. So basically, if we see why this verse comes here, a little background. We have just entered from 5th canto into the 6th canto. 5th canto ended with the description of hellish planets. Basically, the entire creation was described, all planetary systems and everything. And the hellish planets were also described. And 6th canto began with the inquiry of King Parikshit, who is so compassionate, that how these people can be delivered and from their entry into hellish planets. And then Shukdev Goswami, just to test Parikshit, he says through karma kand, he gives that karma kand. And then Parikshit, he rejects it, saying it Kunjara Shauchavata. Kunjara Shauchavat means bathing of an elephant. Elephant, Prabhupada explains beautifully in purports to the previous verses. Elephant goes into the lake, take bath, and after coming out, again throws the sand on its body. So Karmakanda is like that, go purify, again come and again do sinful activities like that. And Srila Prabhupada quotes, someone in his lectures, he mentioned like some Christian people on Sunday, they go to church, they confess for the sins committed, they come back and start committing sin again, and next week, next Sunday, they again go and confess. So what is the use of that confession? Because you are going to commit sin again after coming back. So like that, Parikshit rejected this karma kanda is kunjara shochot. I don't consider this as the process of atonement. Then Shukdev Goswami proposes Jnana Marga, Jnana Kanda, and Parikshit again straight away rejects it, saying it, Venu Gulmalam Ivanalaha. Just as some tree is burnt, but the roots are not destroyed, again they will sprout up. So he says that is also the not perfect way of atonement. And then Shukdev Goswami comes to this verse, And from here onwards, he will glorify the process of bhakti like anything. And he will mention that, only bhakti is the process by which one can eradicate all sinful reactions. Bhakti is the process by which one can completely surrender to the Lord, and is the process when taken, once when adopted, even the Yamadutas will not think of that person, even in dream. And just to prove that point, he will narrate the story of Ajamil. So that's how the flow goes. So the glories of bhakti, when we talk about, and specifically in terms of sinful reactions, there is a famous verse in Brahma Samhita as well, which also Srila Prabhupada quotes quite often. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Karmani nirdahati. All the karmas will be destroyed, kintu cha bhakti bhajam. By taking to the process of devotional service, all our reactions to the actions are like burned. And why the analogy of burning is used, that is also quite essential for us to understand. When we plant a seed, that seed has to be proper, the land has to be fertile. So similarly, when we perform actions, this body is like what we can say, the land in which the seed of karma is sown. When the seed is burnt, let us take example of a mango seed. In India, the mango season is just getting over. The rainy season started. So mango seed, when you take and when you burn the mango seed and when you plant it, it will not fructify. Or you boil the seed, it will not fructify. Similarly, when the reactions of our karma, when they are burnt, then they will not fructify. And therefore the analogy of burning is given. Karmani nir dahati. Dahati means burnt. Nir dahati means completely burnt. And like burnt to ashes, So when the mango seed is burnt to ashes, and when you plant those ashes, you're not going to get anything out of it. Right? So that wonderful analogy is given. And when you compare it with other processes in Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd canto, there is a very beautiful verse which says, Tapasvino dana parayashasvino manasvino mantra vidah sumangalaha kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. Tapasvino, someone who is a very austere person. Dana para, someone who is a very charitably disposed person. Yashasvino, someone who is very famous. Manasvino, someone who is a great thinker. Mantra vidaha, someone who is who can recite scriptures very fluently and recite Vedas. Sumangalaha, someone who has lived a very auspicious life. Kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam. Without offering the results of their karma unto Lord Krishna, they cannot obtain kshema. Kshema means kalyana. They cannot do anything good for them unless they offer their activities to Krishna. And I offer my pranam to that Krishna. Tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. So even basically what we can say, the other activities also are dependent on the process of bhakti to give their results. So basically we are comparing what Shukdev Goswami has told previously, the ways of atonement, karma and jnana. They are nothing compared to bhakti. And basically, our relationship with Krishna is compared to a treasure. And when we want to look for that treasure, there has to be a way out. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Sanatana Goswami This comes in Madhya Lila, chapter 20. Mahaprabhu narrates a story to Sanatana Goswami. Once there was a poor fellow who was morose and almost crying. An astrologer came to meet that person and told him, "Why are you crying? There is no need to cry. Your father, who was a very rich person, he had hidden a treasure for you. The only thing is that he couldn't tell you because he died at some other place. But you have the treasure, only thing you don't know." And similarly, Mahaprabhu, while explaining him, was instructing. Similarly, scriptures tell us about our original treasure and the way out towards that treasure. Only thing is that we are not aware of that treasure. Scripture tell us that you are a rich person, you have a relationship with Krishna. And then this person inquires to the astrologer, "How do I get the treasure? Please tell me, what should I do?" It's almost in the backyard. In which direction should I dig? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami through this. The astrologer tells this poor person, if you dig in the southern direction, the wasps and drones will rise and you will not get the treasure. So southern direction discarded. If you dig in the western direction, the ghost will catch you, create a disturbance, you will not get the treasure. Okay. If you dig on the northern side, then there is big black snake which will devour you. So don't dig in that direction also. But if you dig even a small quantity on the eastern side, then your hands will immediately reach the treasure. So dig on the eastern side. While mentioning this analogy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further explains Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport there, that southern direction, where the wasps and drones are mentioned, they are compared to the karma kanda, fruitive activity. The western side, where the ghost was said to appear, is the jnana kanda, speculative knowledge. And the northern side, where the big black snake was mentioned, that is compared to a mystic yoga process, which will not give us our real treasure, which won't allow us to get that treasure. And the eastern side, where even the small amount of digging would give the treasure, is compared to a bhakti yoga. Even the small amount done will fetch you result. That is bhakti. ऐसे शास्त्र कहे कर्म ज्ञान योग त्यजी भक्ते कृष्ण वश हय भक्ते तारे भजी. ऐसे शास्त्र कहे, scriptures talk about this. What? Karma, jnana, yoga, tyaji. You give up karma, jnana and yoga, all these three paths. Bhakte Krishna vasha haya bhakte tare bhaji. Krishna is conquered only by devotion and therefore do devotional service. And Mahaprabhu quotes this shloka from which Krishna quoted to Uddhava. Na sadhyati mam yogo, na sankhyam dharma uddhava, na swadhyaya tapos tyago, yatha bhaktir mamorjita. I can be conquered by devotion. Na sadhyati mam yogo. Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga can't conquer me. Na sankhyam dharma uddhava. Sankhya can't conquer me. Na swadhyaya tapas tyago. Any amount of austerity, any amount of Vedic study can't conquer me. Yatha bhaktir mamorjita. Just as I can be conquered by the process of bhakti. And therefore Krishna says, Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. I can be conquered only and only by bhakti. Ekaya. So therefore, the process of bhakti is glorified a lot when we compare it with other processes. So herein, I'm going to present in front of you some bullet points and a comparison of bhakti and other processes based on those bullet points. You know, like in our mechanical engineering, we would have this type of comparison: 2-stroke engine and 4-stroke engine. So when we compare, so there are points, basically weight of the engine, and then the capacity, and then the efficiency of the engine. So these are the bullet points, and based on those bullet points, we need to differentiate between these two. So similarly, what I'm going to do is take a bullet point, and based on that, just compare other processes with bhakti. So the first point of comparison can be the end result which one is going to get. So what is the end result by the other processes? The end result by the other processes is uncertain. And the end result of bhakti is guaranteed. The destination. Once you attain the end result by the other processes, we can fall from that place. But when we get the end result by the process of bhakti, we will not fall from that place. So when talking in terms of other processes, Aruya kritrena param padam tatah patanti adho anadrit ishmadangrayah. Demigods, while offering prayers to Lord Krishna in the womb, Prabhupada's favorite verse, many times he quotes in his lectures, they may attain the destination, but anadrit ishmadangrayah, but not serving the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, they will fall down again. But when we talk in terms of bhakti, then we have yad gatva ananivartante tad dhama paramama. One will not come back again. So that is the glory of bhakti. So we are talking in terms of results. So that by the other processes, one may fall down. The stability of the result is not guaranteed. But the stability of result is obtained in bhakti. Yad gatva ananivartante. Even karma, let us talk about karma kanda. The person will go to swarga. But tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine panne martyalokam vishanti. Krishna talks about this in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. You might attain heaven. You might enjoy there for a longer duration. But once your past credits are over, you will glide down. But the process of bhakti, no coming back. And at various places, Krishna talks about this. Yad gatva ananivardante tad dhama paramam mama. There is no coming back. Abrahma bhona loka punaravartino arjuna mamu pettita kaunteya punarjanma anavidyate. There is no punarjanma for my devotee once he reaches my abode. So other processes will not take us to Krishna's abode. Other processes will reach us somewhere else. A karma kandi will reach to heaven, a jnana kandi will reach to Brahman. Acha, Lord has got three features, you know, Sat, Chit and Ananda. So this we talked about result. Next, second bullet point of comparison is percentage realization. Percentage realization means how much you will realize the absolute truth. The other processes, the absolute truth has got three features. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaniti Shabdate. Other process will give us realization of Brahma and Paramatma only, not Bhagwan. Bhakti will give us full realization of Bhagwan. Or the absolute truth can be also said to be of having three features: Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, eternal is full of bliss. So other processes will give only partial understanding of the absolute truth, Sat and Chit, maximum, but not bliss, not Ananda aspect. Only devotional service can give us the complete realization of the absolute truth, which is Bhagwan realization. And Sat also, Chit also, and Ananda also. So the realization is complete and perfect, which is not obtained by other processes. They can give you partial understanding of the absolute truth, but not complete. And just to give an example, you have a glass of milk in front of you. When you see the milk, you have the partial understanding of the milk. When you smell the milk, you also have a partial understanding, little more, but still partial understanding of the milk. When you touch the milk, your understanding is little more, but still not complete. When you drink the milk, then your understanding of the milk is complete. Similarly, when we perform bhakti yoga, then only our understanding of the absolute truth is complete. Just like drinking of the milk is complete understanding of the milk, not just seeing, smelling, or touching milk. So this we saw. The first point we saw was the result, stability of the result. Second point we discussed was about the percentage realization. 100% realization of the absolute truth can be had when we take to devotional service. Third aspect, what is considered important in other processes, the process is given much more important, meticulously conducting the process. In bhakti, Krishna is given the most importance. In other processes, what is given more importance? The process. Krishna is sidelined. Just to give an example of Yagik Brahmanas, in 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, beautiful story comes, when Krishna and Balaram, they are hungry and they tell their boyfriends, go and beg some food from these Brahmanas who are conducting yagya. And they go. And the Brahmana rejects, we can't give, we are doing yagya. And then when they go to yagya patnis, they say, oh, Krishna is asking, let us give. And they broke all the regulative principles of social regulative principles. Their husbands were not allowing them, they still gave everything to Krishna. So in bhakti, Krishna is given the utmost importance, and in other processes, the technicalities are given more importance. So this is the third point of comparison. The fourth point of comparison is, how is the process? How is the process? The other processes are troublesome. The process of bhakti is blissful, right? When we talk about other processes, klesho adhiktarastesham avyaktasakta chetasam, klesh is full of klesh, full of dukkha, full of misery. The process is difficult. The process of bhakti, so easy. Susukham kartum avyayam. It will give you bliss even while practicing. Forget about perfection. Kevala ananda kanda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ara Prabhu Nityananda Yahara Prakasha Sarva Jagata Ananda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they give process of bhakti to each and everyone and made their lives blissful and happy. So this is the fourth point of comparison, how the process is. Other processes are difficult to follow. Bhakti is very easy to follow, and happily we can follow. The fifth point of comparison is the qualification of the performer. Who is performing? For other processes, the person has to be very qualified, right? Let us say Jnana. Someone has to be very expert into studies. That person should have the complete knowledge of Sanskrit with all its details. Recently, during lockdown, I completed diploma in Paninian grammar, which is considered to be the most, the difficult or the foundational of Sanskrit language. So the grammar is so technical details, my God. So one has to be expert into all these things, spend a lot of years just studying that, and then study all the Vedic literatures, which is like oceanic knowledge. The performer has to be very qualified. Even in terms of shuchi, cleanliness, the brahmanas, even for karma kanda, one has to be pure, right? And then sit in this direction and do this and do that, mudra, tantra, what not. But when it comes to the process of bhakti, it's so simple, no qualification. Patra apatra na dekhi sthana sthan, ye jaha paye taha kore prema dan. It said about Mahaprabhu. When he was distributing love of God, patra apatra na dekhi. He was not saying whether the person is qualified or not qualified. Na dekhi sthana sthan. Whether the place is proper or improper, he was not even discriminating in the place and time and the people. Ye jaha paye taha kore prema dan. Wherever, whoever he would see, he would just distribute that love of God. So no qualification required. Kehanache kehagay Sri Krishna Gopal premete bhasila loka stri vruddha abal. Someone would dance, someone would chant Sri Krishna Gopal premete bhasila loka stri vruddha and abal. Stri means ladies, vruddha means old people, and abal means child. So from childhood to old age, male, female, whoever you are, you can practice the process of bhakti. Forget that. Even animals have perfected their lives by the process of bhakti. Gajendra was an elephant. He perfected his life. Jatayu was an animal. He perfected his life. Squirrel in Ramalila, squirrel perfected its life just by serving Lord. So there is no qualification required, whoever you are. And the process of bhakti is so simple, anyone can follow. Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kalaha. Even the Lord's names are so powerful. Even for chanting the names of the Lord, there are no specific rules and regulations. So when we compare bhakti with other processes, in terms of the qualification of a performer, bhakti doesn't require any pre-qualification to practice. The next point, 6th point of comparison is percentage completion. How much you have completed, that only will give you the result. For other processes, you have to meticulously follow and complete the process till end. Then only you will get its fruit. If I am performing yajna, then I have to meticulously, even a small mistake. We know in the story of Vritrasur, some small mistake while chanting of the mantra, Indra Shatruhu. So just some rasva has to be there and something became dirgha during the pronunciation was wrong in the mantra. And a demon who was supposed to kill Indra, the meaning became the demon who will be killed by Indra. And that's how Vritrasur was born. So this story elaborately is mentioned in 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So the point is, even if you do something wrong in other processes, you are totally wrong. The result will be exactly opposite of what you are looking for. And you will have to meticulously complete the process in the detailed way. Unless you complete, you won't get the result. But it's not about bhakti. Even if you don't complete, Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayona vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato mayat. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya. Even if you practice even the small quantity, trayate mahato mayat, you will be freed from the great fear of gliding down into the repeated cycle of birth and death. So even the small amount of practice, even if you are not able to complete. And that was the point actually in the purport what Jiva Goswami mentions, the technical details of various levels of bhakti, even the bhakti abhas, that the beginning phases of bhakti also can eradicate all those sinful reactions. So the result is not dependent on your completion of the process. You do maximum from your end, Krishna will put his rest. So this is the 6th point about completion. And even if we can add in that, reversal is not possible. Pratyavayona vidyate means what? Reversal is not possible. Even if you don't execute some of the limbs of bhakti properly, some mistake happens from you, then you will not get a reverse result of that. Let us say chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You 16 rounds you have to do, and maybe someone has fallen asleep during chanting and one mantra is missed. Then you won't get a reverse result. Reverse result means you have missed one mantra, you go to hell. No, this is not going to happen. But in other processes, you chant mantra with little mispronunciation, you may die also. There is no guarantee. So other processes are like very difficult, and in terms of the process and in terms of completion of the process in a meticulous way. The 7th point of this differentiation is what we can say, the distractions. If you get distracted from the path, or what we can say, you have a goal and you get distracted from the goal, or basically we can say the falling down from the process. We have these examples of other yogis, falling down during the process. Vishwamitra Muni, he fell down. Thousands of years he did tapasya, but it fell down, became victimized by lust, anger. Menka, Rambha, we know the stories. And we know Saubhari Muni was performing austerities under the water in the river Yamuna and still got distracted and later came back to their senses, But when someone is doing bhakti, Krishna says in 9.30 Bhagavad Gita, Api chetsu duracharo bhajate mamananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Api chetsu duracharo. Someone might seem to be doing durachar, but if he is fixed up in his goal, sadhureva samantavya, that person should be considered to be sadhu only. My God, that person should be considered to be sadhu. But what about his behavior? Krishna says, okay, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. There is no fall down karma, devotee. 9.31, next verse Krishna says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Soon he will come back to his senses. Kshipram means immediately, soon in near future. Name bhakta pranashyati. Kaunteya prati, Kaunteya, Arjun, you go and declare that my devotees never perish. So such is the process of bhakti when we take. When our goal is fixed, then Krishna says that that person has to be considered a sadhu. And the next is, I think the 7th or 8th.
8th.
8th. Yeah, you can see the last point of comparison. is bhakti is shubha. Other processes are not that shubha. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport the characteristics of bhakti, kleshagni, shubhada. Kleshagni, it removes all your kleshas. Other processes are klesho adhiktarastesham, we saw. They give you klesh. Bhakti removes klesh. Shubhada, it is all auspicious. Now, why it is Shubhada? Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions why it is Shubhada. Jiva Goswami in commentary to Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says, why it is Shubhada? Because it not only benefits the person who is doing bhakti, but it benefits everyone. Therefore, it is Shubhada. Da means to give. Shubha means auspiciousness. It giver of all auspiciousness. And someone who is practicing bhakti, it produces good qualities in that person. Therefore, it is Shubhada. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati arkinchana sarvair gunestatra samasate suraha. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahatkaten manorathena sati dhavato bhakti. Someone who is doing bhakti, he will automatically develop all the good qualities. But not in the other processes. When you follow other processes, it is not guaranteed that you will develop good qualities. And it is not for auspiciousness for all. We saw in first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages of Naimisharanya, they were together for performance of yajna, and they condemned the process. Their faces were blackened by the soot of the yajna. So the black soot is not considered to be auspicious. But bhakti is all auspicious for the performer and for the benefit of everyone around. And Shubhada, one more characteristic, why it's called Shubhada, is because it bestows the superior happiness. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, it is also called as moksha laguta krita. Even someone who is looking for bhakti and pleasure of the Lord, he will deny even liberation. Moksha laguta krita. Kapil Muni tells Mother Devavati in third canto, Salokya sarshti samipya sarup paikatvam apyuta diyamanam na grihnanti vina mat sevanam janaha. All these types of liberation, even if offered, the devotee will reject those types of liberation. Why? Because the person is happy performing devotional service. Don't want anything else. Vina mat sevanam janaha. Without my service, they don't want even moksha. All types of liberation, they don't want. So that is the glory of bhakti. So therefore, it's called Shubhada, all auspicious. Why it is all auspicious? Because it benefits not only the performer, but everyone. It produces all good qualities, and it gives you the supreme happiness, and that supreme happiness even surpasses the happiness of liberation. So based on these 8 bullet points, we have seen the comparison of bhakti and the other processes. We might have this question in our hearts, when Parikshit has asked the question about atonement, how the person can stop going his journey towards hell. Our mind might think, why Shukdev Goswami can't begin with bhakti directly? No? Tell bhakti directly. That is the ultimate. Why tell karma kanda? Why tell jnana kanda? Someone may misunderstand and may take up to that even. So basically, it's called a science of comparison. Science of comparison. Science of comparison is that you tell someone something, and then you tell something better. So analytical mind will immediately compare these two, and that's what we are seeing. Parikshit Maharaj is very much analytical here, that this process is Kunjara Shochava, this process is like burning of a bamboo tree, but not the roots. So basically to highlight the glories of bhakti, the other processes are mentioned. Just like you must have seen, when we purchase jewelries, when I used to go for shopping, when I was not in my brahmacharya ashram, I had my elder sister, and sometimes when I used to go to shop, for my sister's sake, when we used to go to jewelry shop, the jewelry, they have this, they have jewelry boxes like. So when you have a jewelry box, or let us say the diamond, you have to see the box. When you open the box, the background used to be always dark blue velvet, or the black velvet. And on that, there will be kept this diamond or golden jewelry. So for jewelry to be highlighted, you need something like black background. So similarly, for bhakti to be highlighted, bhakti to be glorified, these other processes acts like a background. The bhakti shines forth. And how it shines forth, we saw these 8 bullet points. And therefore, when we have this comparative study of all these processes with bhakti, then our conviction to perform bhakti will increase. And so that people don't take up to other processes, but they take up to the process of bhakti, understanding how easy it is to perform, how anyone can do it, how even a small amount of bhakti practice can take you to a higher destination. And all these 8 points, basically we can talk for length together when we compare. But just to highlight, when we have this differentiate, we just bullet points and then we mark. So in that terms, I have taken this. But even one point can be elaborated for one sessions, quoting the examples from the scriptures and taking verses all together. So that can be like a broader discussion. But these are just a food for thought, and maybe you can do some churning and homework based on these points. So I just presented here some food for thought, and maybe for me to increase my conviction based on the comparative study. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. You very well told. The purport was really wonderful, which Prabhupada has written, and you very well justified the purport with all your bullets points, the main 8 bullets points, saying about how we have to be stable, and then realization, and then the process, then the qualification of the performer, where the qualification is not required, which you told, then other processes needs the mantra to be chanted well, but in bhakti it's not like that. We don't have any reversal. So that was really very nice. And then the bhakti removes the klesha. And then last one, which you told, I just liked, you were saying that about the jewel on the velvet background. So that is very easy for us to understand. Bhakti to get glorified, the background, these jnana and karma kanda should be there. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such an enlightening class. Devotees, any questions, realizations, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just wanted to thank you for the wonderful class and the 8 bullet points. It was so wonderful, and a realization that bhakti will give us full realization of Bhagwan. And it is so simple that the process should be meticulous, to be blissful and to be happy. Wonderful class, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Any devotees, any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Dhan. Yes, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Dhan, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for such a wonderful class. It's so good to see you again after such a long time. You always give us such nectarian classes. And as Mataji just said, the 8 bullet points made everything very clear that, clearly bhakti is the best process. And we get so many beautiful benefits from it that I think sometimes, even as beginning bhakti practitioners, we kind of take for granted. My question is about Srila Prabhupada's beautiful purport here when it gets to speaking of intermittent devotional service from the purport. And then once you get to the 3rd point under intermittent, it says abhasa rupa, a slight glimpse of devotional service. And I was wondering if you could just speak a little bit about that. So I just want to make sure I understand what that means, a slight glimpse, because further on in the purport, it also says, even in the stage of Abhasrupa Bhakti, all reactions of simple life are uprooted and vanquished. And I just, like I said, I just want to understand what the, a slight glimpse of devotional services, because that's very powerful. You know, to me, when I'm preaching to Westerners, Western people who are not practicing devotional service, I want to be able to kind of understand that a little bit better, because that might be a point that I could use in my preaching. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yes, nice question, Mataji. That I think it's from the last section of the purport, right? Which is cited by the Prabhupada, quoting Jiva Goswami's commentary,
Yes.
and wherein he says Santata and Kadachitki. Basically, Santata means incessant flow, continuous, which is continuous, and something which is not continuous but intermittent. And then that also has got three categories: Raga Bhasmai, Raga Bhasa Shunya Swarupa Bhuta, and Abhasa Rupa. So it has got three levels, basically, what we can understand. Abhasa Rupa means a slight glimpse of devotional service, basically. Devotional service is not complete, but a slight glimpse is there. The next is Raga Bhasa Shunya Swarupa Bhuta, means there is no spontaneous love, but someone is doing bhakti, but better than Abhasa Rupa, means someone in practice. And Raga Bhasamai means there is almost attachment. Raga Bhasamai means there is no raga actually, but Raga Bhasamai. And after that, then the Santata means continuous flow will start. So basically, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has also thrown much light on this in his book Madhurya Kadambini, because when we practice bhakti, we have this Navavida bhakti, you know, Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya Anarth Nivrutti, Nishtha Ruchi Bhava Sakti Prem. So basically, all these stages, they are talked above Nishtha Star. You know, Nishtha Star is basically constancy. And after that, actually, Srila Prabhupada also mentions in one of his purports that actually the real bhakti begins from that stage onwards. So like bhakti and bhaktya bhas, we say. So, and even the story which I have narrated, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's discussion with Sanatana Goswami and that astrologer. So even if you study in that story section, basically Madhya Leela chapter 20, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also talks about various levels, but those levels are what you are saying, they are not for the sake of preaching, but for the sake of personal application, and we can say for the sake of cultivating people and understanding, make them understand what level we are on. So they are just what I can say, the technical names for different levels of bhakti. If you open the book Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, you will find n number of technical names for various terms used there. But the point what Prabhupada is mentioning, if you read the last paragraph conclusion, even the lower level in that Santata is one level, Kadachitki is one level, Kadachitki has got three levels. The lowermost of that second grade, even that is that, what do you say, Abhasurupa, even that bhakti is also qualified to eradicate your sinful reactions. So what the topic under consideration you see, the topic is eradication of sinful reactions by various processes. In bhakti also there are various grades. So the lowest grade of bhakti is also eligible to eradicate sinful reaction. So that's the take-home message actually here in this concluding section of the purport. I hope I am clear.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. That was my understanding, but I just wanted to make sure that I understood it properly. So I appreciate your guidance. Thank you. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you to Mataji. Prahladanand Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for allowing me to speak. And then what Pranam Krishna Dhan Prabhuji. All the slokas which you quoted themselves were real diamonds in that jewelry box you were saying. Each of them was really a diamond slok. And I would like to add one which came to my mind. It says, Yetu tvadiya charanambut kos gandham jigranti karna vivarai sruti vatnitam. Bhaktya gruhit charan paryam chetesam napesi nath hridayambura swapunsam. So my question is, where I'm very at Abhas Bhakti level, the lowest of Kadachit, will it, I'm sure it will eradicate all my sins, but will it lead me to the Lord Krishna's lotus feet? That Bhakti, that level, can it allow somebody to reach there? Or one has to...
Yeah, so basically these levels, lower rungs of bhakti, they can eradicate sinful reactions,
right,
but they won't lead to Krishna Prem. Very, very nice question. Because as we say, we have discussed in Anartha Nivritti also, when Anartha Nivritti happens, there are no traces of Anarthas left. From their Nishtha, their Ruchi, Bhav, but even from the Bhava stage, one can come down. And just to set an example, from 5th canto, there is example of Bharat Maharaj, who went to the forest, got attached to the deer. He has almost reached the Bhava stage. Bhava means when you chant, you cry. And his description, if you read, he has reached that stage. He would chant, he would dance, he would cry. But then also, basically, if you read Madhurya Kadambini, and Shivram Maharaj has written a very good book, Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani. And when you read that, actually, Anartha Nivritti stage, our Anarthas go away only 50%. But as we step ahead, Anarthas, they go, but their percentage is mentioned. And Ekaki, even in Bhava stage, they say, you read Chaitanya Charitamrut, Radharani's stage of bhakti is mentioned, that begins from the stage of prema. What we say, Adar Shraddha, it goes to prema. So from prema onward, there are 9 stages. Wow. And Radharani on that topmost stage. So actually, even at the stage of bhava, that it's called as the gandha of anartha remains. Gandha of anartha means, Prabhupada also mentions this analogy. So, pardon me for giving the same analogy. The wine bottle. So there is a bottle full of wine, and the wine is stored for a longer duration. If you take out the wine, the bottle is empty of the wine, but that smell will remain. And no matter how much you wash it, still that smell won't go away. It fades slowly. So similarly, when we reach at the stage of bhava and prema, then also that gandha of anartha is there. So that gandha will fade only at the stage of prema. And once you start from that, then actually those stages are like far off. But what is hope for us sadhakas is that, yes, we can go to those stages slowly. When we compare our lives with our previous life, previous life in a sense, before practicing Krishna consciousness, the day one of my chanting and today my chanting, obviously there is a lot of difference, right? The day when I started chanting, my attachment to Krishna and devotees and the process of bhakti, and today my attachment to Krishna and the process of bhakti. So slowly we need to internalize and understand that. And obviously these nishtha and these levels are not to be taken in toto, in a sense that I have not reached yet the stage of nishtha. Actually, in one particular limb of devotional service, we might have attained nishtha. if not in all the limbs. Someone might get attracted to the reading of the scripture, someone might get attracted to kirtan, someone might get attracted to the reading of scriptures. So for everyone, the thread of bhakti will be different. So we need to just check out in which limb of devotional service I have got more attraction. And sometimes you also might have experienced that during the ecstatic kirtan, sometimes the devotional sentiments are awakened. So it is not that these stages are totally absent for us. Some of us might have cried while taking the darshan of the Lord. Obviously, the devotional sentiments might have aroused. Okay, those sentiments are not consistent, but at least they have given us the glimpse. And then we need to just cherish that, remember that, and then go forward from there and pray to Krishna that let me experience the higher tastes in your bhakti. So basically our process is not sadhana dependent, When I say sadhana dependent, I mean to say the efforts are there, but more emphasis is also on mercy and krupa. So therefore we have this process in such a way that when we hear even from devotees, the hearing from the pure devotees is always recommended, because when you hear from pure devotees of the Lord, the pure sentiments awaken very easily. And you also must have experienced. And someone may say, we don't have access to those. We have access to Srila Prabhupada's purports, right? He says, my purports are non-different from my devotional ecstasies. So we have access to Srila Prabhupada books. So when we constantly read Srila Prabhupada books, hear in the association of devotees and hear from pure devotees, there are chances for us to go higher and higher in those stages as well. As you pointed out rightly, the lower rungs of those stages may not fetch us Krishna Bhakti, but the positive point is that we have at least come to those stages. The positive point is that we will not glide down now into the lower spaces. If you read 2.41 purport, Neha Bhikram Nashosti Pratyavayana Vidyate, Vishwanath Chakravarti mentions in that purport that what is Mahato Bhayat? Mahato Bhayat, Vishwanath Chakravarti mentions that gliding down to the lower spaces of life is the greatest fear. So at least someone who has chanted and someone who has gotten up to that level of bhakti will not glide down to the lower spaces of life, and he will continue from that stage. And the same example is of Bharat. Okay, Bharat Maharaj, he fell down from the stage of bhava, but next life he could remember his last birth. That was the mercy of the Lord. So remembrance of the Lord comes by his grace only. So we are dependent on Lord's grace for his remembrance. And in the next life he perfected. So in 3 lives he perfected. And we have these hopeful examples also. I was the other day giving class, and on the 4th canto, Dhruva Maharaj's story. Prabhupada writes, if someone is sincere and serious like the practice of bhakti, he can go back to God in 1 life only.
Wow.
So that is the hope-giving statement for us.
Yes.
So when we have these examples and we have these hopes, and when we practice by putting our utmost 100% efforts into the process of bhakti, and we leave rest unto the Lord, then whatever he does to us, we accept that. Then that's the hope for us.
Thank you very much. Such an elaborate answer, Prabhuji. And I feel that I'm lifting myself with your answer here. Thank you very much.
With your association, I am able to lift myself. Maybe I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prahlad Prabhuji, for that wonderful question. Prabhuji, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, your name Krishna Dhan Prabhu. Correct name is you're actually Dhan. You're holding Dhana of Krishna. And very, very happy to be in touch with you and associate with you. My name is Sukakar Krishnadas. I am from Chennai, Jayapataka Maharaj disciple. आपने की Bangali na ki? Are you from Bengal or are you from
No,
Calcutta?
I'm from Maharashtra.
Oh, मला मराठी माहिती. I speak around 18 languages because
Oh,
I'm a chartered accountant. So
great.
I got connected to ISKCON in 1989, meeting Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj in Africa. But from there I went to Dubai, so I met Jayapataka Maharaj in Muscat. So I'm from Calcutta. I'm born and brought up in Calcutta. I'm a Tamilian. So this language is really helping me to, meet and become friend with people and achieve their process. So being a chartered accountant for the last 40 years, I've been meeting so many people. So today's class has really helped me because I meet people impersonalists, Shunyavadis, Brahman relation people, Buddhism, Jainism, then Judaism, Christianity, Islamic, Advaita philosophy, Sindhis society, Radha Swami, Swaminarayan people, so all these day people have something, but they're missing Krishna actually. Krishna link is missing. And Brahmeti Paramatma, they get stopped at some level. So this 8 different thing you taught, it's really a good eye-opener. When we discuss with them, they will, because nobody will come unless you understand Krishna as the Supreme Lord, they cannot go back to God. Even I think the Judaism, Christianity and all, if they are good devotee as Allah's devotee, maybe Krishna will make them a devotee in the next life. They got good, my good friends are there in Calcutta. They're Bengali Muslims. They say, Amar chanting korte bhal lage. They're chanting with me in my house. But they said we cannot do it outside. They come and take prasadam. So they outside they say Allah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, they tell, but they know that we are right, but we cannot. But I told them that there are a lot of changes people have made, but their family restrictions, they're not able to make. Even a lot of Christians, like we are not like Prabhupada to change them. So I just said, don't convert yourself at all, be wherever you are. So thank you very much for all your discussions. And so only I want to know, you said after that bhakti level in the prema, there are 9 stages. Those are all like sneha and at the top level.
True.
No.
True. First of all, thank you for your association. Glad to know you know 18 languages. I'm just remembering Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami. They also were knowing 19 languages.
Jai. No, I'm not nowhere with them. Why the advantage is if I go to
but yeah, having knowledge of multilinguistic is good. You can connect, and nice that you are from Calcutta, which is place of Srila Prabhupada.
But unfortunately, Prabhu, I'm born in 1958. Till 79, I did my BCom in Calcutta. But somehow that Dhammaradam, that movie came. So somehow I was told they're a CIA agent. So I never met them. Whenever they come with the books, I will say, you Bangla, we're all South Indian IAs. You're teaching us Bhagavad Gita. I just tell them, I did aparad. But Prabhupada did not leave me. After I did my CA, I went to Africa. Next to my house is called Mombasa Temple, Rukmini Dwarkadhish. So there also one Bengali only connected me. And so I'm really fortunate, though I have done a lot of aparad in my school days. But now what I'm doing is that language I'm helping. If I meet a Malayali, I will say, I'm a Malayali only. Malayali, so I will just say some Malayalam song. I'll talk, sing about Guru Ayappa. We meet a Marathi, Mumbai, Jai Maharashtra, Bara, Jai Maharashtra, they say, Jai Deva, Jai Mangala Murti, Darshan Mate Mana Kamana Purti. So they feel happy. Actually, what Guru Maharaj told me that you become a friend to them first, then you can talk. So that is what I'm trying my best, Prabhu, because
very nice.
I met Modi ji also. Kamcho, Sukhabar, Vyapar Pani, Saruche. He came to me, Karunaniji. So he said, Tame Gujarati chu? I said, Gujarati. Kya nahi manas? Surat no manas. Tamaro naam Subramaniam. Are Modi bhai, love marriage, Tamil girl, name change. So he thinks I am a Gujarati only. When Tilaka and all, he thought he's a Gujarati. I am not telling lies to get anything out. It is just to, somehow get some devotees to make. Yeah. So Modi ji has agreed. He has agreed to chant 1 round. So I'm planning to go there and make all the people to chant 1 round every day. That is what the next agenda. Please give your blessings, Prabhu.
Very nice. All the best for this venture. Srila Prabhupada dreamt that.
Sukhakar Prabhu, Prabhupada
Yes,
Maharaj
Prabhuji.
used to say that Krishna Bhagavan was Gujarati. He stayed in
Oh.
Gujarat.
Jai.
I'm a Gujarati, so I'm to say that. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Gujarat બહુ સરસ ભાષા છે, મજા આવે ગુજરાતીમાં. And their Krishna Bhakti is also very Gujarati people. They are very, very populated. But Bengal is the best. East or West Bengal, because that is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place. এত সুন্দর ভাষা, খুব ভাল লাগে বাংলা.
When Bhakti Devi arrived in Gujarat, she became old, right? Because of Gujarat is having a lot of material intelligence, but little spiritual intelligence. But because of Bhagavan Prabhupada's mercy, a lot of Gujaratis have become pure devotees of Bhagavan Krishna.
Jai.
So nice. Thank you.
So nice. Thank you, Prabhu. So Krishna Dhan Prabhu, I want to be in touch with you. I want to be in touch with you.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Shukar Prabhuji. Shureshwar Shyam Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for highlighting the bhakti aspect. And Prabhuji, one question I have, Prabhu, this one, why Sukadeva Goswami, he briefly explained about jnana, and then without intervention from Parikshit Maharaj, it simply automatically shifting to bhakti, Prabhuji. But in the previous part, right, when he mentioned about Karma Kanda, Parikshit Maharaj was not happy, right? But here I just don't see that, automatically shifting to bhakti.
No, Gyan also Parikshit rejected, na? Parikshit rejected Gyan also. When he said Venu Gulmalam Ivanalaha.
That is said by Sukadeva Goswami only, right, Prabhu? That I think is said by Sukadeva Goswami.
Yeah. It's said by Sukadeva Goswami only. And drastic means, as I mentioned, comparison helps. So he talked about Karma Kand, then Gyan Kand, which is a little higher, and then about Bhakti. So ultimately he has to give the knowledge of Bhakti, right?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Jyoti Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I have 2-3 questions. They are not that dependent, but I would like to share one realization. I was very serious practitioner of Vipassana prior coming to Bhakti. And the example that you gave about the diamond background, that has really hit me a lot. I mean, I went back to my sadhana when I was doing Vipassana. I was very serious. And at that time, I was crying every day and night because I was not answered for my questions. And now all my answers, I'm getting a lot of answers of all those questions that arise. Now I am in Bhakti, understanding the purity of Bhakti, and really understand its importance. And I am very thankful and grateful to all Vaishnavas. Because of their mercy, I could understand a little bit. Here you said that in the sadhana, here in Bhakti, we get one thread. Means if we like reading books, then we merge into it. Or if we like cooking, then we merge into it. Because the cooking itself is also a big department. It goes on like taking a Brahman Diksha and then purify and then offering for the Lord. Then it's also taking a lot of, means every thread has its own depth, and intensified bhakti is involved in it. In that case, the sadhana has so many limbs, and it's so scattered together, all the energy. And so the Lord sees the intention, and he gives the mercy according to it. So it will take a lot of time. So I want to know how the intention will be purified, because we cannot reach all the limbs of the bhakti. Because in Vipassana, we know how to meditate, so we can concentrate on the technique. But here, it's a lot of scattered. I mean, the techniques are very different. So I would like to know about this, and then I'll follow up the next question.
Yeah, see, basically, when I mentioned, I was mentioning, I was giving answer to Prahladan Prabhu's question regarding that stage of Nishtha. So my mentioning of all these threads was to the point that when we say that I am not at the stage of Nishtha, but basically at some limbs we might be at that stage. That was my point. And when you are talking about that, yes, there are so many threads. So which I should practice and what I should focus on. Yes, every thread is in great details. When you do kirtan, then there are so many details about doing kirtan and all that. Basically, my observation or my suggestion in this will be, see, there are basics of Krishna consciousness. You will have to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra, follow 4 regulatory principles, read Srila Prabhupada books, and hear. Someone might find study of scriptures, let us say, more interesting. So study of scriptures actually will ultimately help you chant in a better way and surrender properly. So the ultimate point we have to understand, that is remembrance of Krishna. So which thread connects me more with Krishna, that we have to look. It is not that you have to be expert into it. Which thread connect me more to Krishna, or which gives me more experience of Krishna. So like for someone, it may be memorization of verses, but for someone memorization of verses can be difficult. Like Prabhuji was saying, I quoted so many of these verses. So my hobby is memorizing verses, trying to correlate, develop a connection, and that helps me remember Krishna more sometimes. But I can't say I'll just do verses and I won't chant. That is not possible. So basically, then how can I chant more? That should be my concern. That before chanting, I will offer one prayer. So I have memorized 16 prayers. Before chanting every month, every bead, I offer one prayer. So that offering of that prayer prepares my consciousness to chant more in a better way. So whatever thread you catch, you have to see that is that thread making you more Krishna conscious. Sometimes some threads make you more you conscious. I am an expert kirtaniya. I can, like when I sing, people cry. So when that I consciousness is there and you are catching that type of thread, then that may not be a so good thread to catch hold on. So the basic point, remember, yeah. So basic point is, as Srila Prabhupada always used to quote, Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavyam na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishiddhasur etayor eva kinkaraha. All rules, regulation, everything, they are servant of these two principles. What are these two principles? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So whatever helps you do that, accept that. Is that clear?
Yes, Prabhuji, very clear. And the next question is, though we are not at a great level, but we do preach, because when we come in the contact of non-devotees, then there will be some questions because we put tilak or we practice some of the devotional means all the stuff that we are doing, like we offer and then we don't eat onion, garlic, and then many things are like the way in which we dress up or the way in which we conduct. So there'll be questions arised. So we try to tell them what is the answer for regarding this and why we practice so, and how we should look at the scientific way, because we are bit of educated one as professional. So at that time, when we connect to a non-devotee and we couldn't explain to their consciousness, or we couldn't break that their consciousness, at that time I personally feel that my devotion is like literally minus, because I couldn't even inform them what I have been practicing. So at that time, how my approach should be, because every time I face this, because I was a very hardcore Vipassana practitioner. Everybody knew that. Now they're asking me so many questions, but I couldn't break their consciousness. So how I should develop myself, or is that my communication which is very poor? I don't know. What suggestion you would like to give me?
Yeah, so people objecting to our practices, various external aspects. That is your question, right?
Yes.
Wearing in particular attire and like this. So yes, every wherever you go, there is an attire, right? If someone wants to play cricket, someone wants to be an athlete, there will be an attire, right? You can't just go on your night clothes and start playing. They have an attire, even to the extent that what type of shoes they should wear.
Yes.
So when it is there in the sports, when you go to school, you have school uniforms. So like that, we have these basic attires, basic cultural things related to our practice, which makes us more Krishna conscious. Like when we put tilak, we chant the name, Keshavaya Namaha, Om Keshavaya Namaha.
Yes.
And we have this, these two lines represents the lotus feet of Krishna, and we put Tulsi also. So when we have with this consciousness, when I am applying tilak, actually, Prabhupada writes that our body is temple actually, and then we are decorating the temple of the Lord. So every activity we do, there is a purpose behind, and even if you want to explain science, there are so many scientific facts also, and I take a separate session for that, why we do what we do, and maybe all those points, scientific things we discuss mainly to youth who have these inquisitive hearts. So for them we take such types of points, and there is a separate session for everything we do.
Hare Krishna, Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranam Prabhuji. I'll take up this question. I'll look into your teachings. I'll go into the depth. Thank you so much for answering me. It really helped me a lot. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Dhanashri Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'm Dhanashri from Bombay. I have a question. You talked about levels of bhakti, right? In the midst of your lecture. So I would like to ask, suppose I am doing my bhakti in 2-3 different ways. Like I would be a person who is in my day-to-day life, I am dealing with my work and doing my chanting. At the same time, if I'm educated, then my education will show me different perspectives of bhakti. Anybody else who is just a pure devotee, doesn't have anything to do with cooking and cleaning and all that. He would just spend his time doing his type of bhakti. Then how would a person like me know which level of bhakti I have reached? It could be a service also. I mean, if the lady is a nurse, she would be serving the people who are needy. So in her way, her level of bhakti will be just that much. So how would a person like me know that how much, what is the level of my own bhakti?
Good question. And that self-analysis. In 3rd canto Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapil Muni, while answering to Devahuti's question, he talks about various types of bhakti. Forget levels. He talks about types of bhakti. Bhakti, can you think of bhakti in ignorance, bhakti in passion, and bhakti in sattva guna? Like that, he mentions there. So in these different types of bhaktis are also being talked about. And what you are saying, they are not basically levels, but you want to see different practitioners practicing bhakti. When you give the example of nurse practicing, a housewife practicing, an engineer practicing, let us say, like we have this Prabhuji CA practicing. So various people having different backgrounds, they might practice bhakti in their own way. So basically the basic remains the same, as I mentioned, who is remembering Krishna more. So even in terms of Krishna, there is a shloka from Padyavali of Rupa Goswami. He mentions that Yadasya charane svasya vayo vidya gajendrasya ka kubjaya kimunam rupamadikam kim tatsudamno dhanam vamshah ko vidurasya yadavapate ugrasya kim paucham bhaktya tushyati kevalam nacha gunaihi bhakti priyo madava. Madhava is bhakti priya. He don't look for qualities. And then various this verse is in and itself a class, but 7-8 examples are given. Vyadasya acharanam. There was hunter Mrugari, what was his acharan? He was a hunter. Let us say Valmiki. Before becoming Valmiki, he was Valyakuri Ratnakar. His name was, he would kill animals. And then he became Bhakta. Dhruvasya Chavayo. What was the age of Dhruva? At the age of 5, he perfected his life. So similarly, all these examples are given, and in the conclusion it mentions, Bhaktya tushyati kevalam nacha gunaihi bhakti priyo madavaha. Lord is bhakti priya. He just wants devotion. And devotion has got no qualification that who is performing that devotion, whether an animal is performing devotion, whether an engineer is performing devotion, or a doctor is performing devotion. The devotion is devotion. It is not tinged by the practitioner's other qualifications. This is what we need to understand first of all. And then taking your question further, that exactly then I am at what level, then we need to understand those levels characteristics also. That this means this level, this means this level. So we need to understand those details. For that, Acharyas have written various books, like Madhurya Kadambini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is elaborated by, as I was mentioning, Shivaram Maharaj's Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani book he has written. So a sadhaka, and accordingly we should consume. This is very, very essential for a sadhaka actually. See, when someone is child, baby, the baby's food would be, milk with Horlicks and that stuff. Initially mother's milk, then as the child is growing, some external food, then rice with some mixture, and then semi-solid kind of food. Then as the baby grows, becomes child, then chapati sabji. Then as he grows, then more kind of food intake is given, right? So similarly, a sadhaka should know I am at what level and what should be my intake of food. Getting the point? So it is essential, it's quintessential for a sadhaka to understand his or her own level and accordingly consume the intake. Because if I am a grown-up boy, let us say, and if I am still taking that semi-solid type of food which my mother used to feed, I will be malnourished.
Yes.
So for that we need guru, for that we need guidance, a mature guidance, practicing bhakti under the guidance of someone. Therefore, if you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was there, every sadhaka he would hand over to someone. Raghunath Das Goswami was handed over to Swarup Damodar Goswami. You practice bhakti under him. Like that. So when we practice bhakti under a superior guidance, they will tell us. We might not be able to decipher our own level. Obviously, there are books, but we need someone mature who can tell us now, I am eligible for what kind of intake. Because there are so many varied literatures, but are we having a qualification, adhikar to go and dive deep into it? Let us say Vrindavan Champu, Anand Vrindavan Champu, and all these books by Goswamis. So we don't give these books, we don't distribute these books to, oh, you are Krishna Bhakta, you take day one. We don't give them these books. So someone steps into a temple for the first time, we have Beginner's Guide to Krishna Consciousness, read this book. Scientific Basis of Krishna Consciousness, read this book. So based on their levels, we also offer them, right? And then someone rises higher, then we have Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then all this stuff basically. So it is, as I mentioned, quite essential for us to understand. And how do we understand? By the superior guidance, by a mentor under whom we are practicing, and they will tell us our adhikar. They will, like mother knows a child is at what level and what should be the food intake for the child now. And that too will be looking at the child, because the mother is feeding the child's stomach is full, and then the child says, no, I'm full, I don't want more. Mother says, eat little more. Child says, no. So based on the coordination of these two, mother and son, similarly, based on the coordination of the mentor and the sadhaka, guru and sadhaka, so that coordination should be there, and through that coordination one should go and practice bhakti. That is very essential. Otherwise, therefore it is said, ekantiki harer bhaktir utpata eva kalpate. Ekantik, if you practice everything alone, then it will create disturbance, because I don't know my qualification. I am adhikari for what? So what is my adhikar and what am I up to has to be done under proper guidance and followed properly. That I'll like to say for your question, Mataji. And I think we have crossed time a lot.
Yeah,
Maybe,
thank you, Prabhuji. In fact, just a small thing, I was so stuck with learning the shlokas. I found your video somewhere where you have explained how to learn Sanskrit shlokas, and it was very, very, very useful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
very
Many people
much.
were asking for that, and somehow we made that video. And
you're based in Nasik. You're based in Nasik, is it?
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful class, very beautiful class, Prabhuji, and very nice answers. You gave a lot of time today. I'm really grateful to you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Because I was constantly denying your request of giving classes. Therefore, uska fill up karna tha, so I thought of spending more time. Excuse me, for I was busy with some other Gurukul activities. I was engaged a lot, and because of that busy schedule, it was difficult to take out time. But I love to be in your association. Kindly pray for me as well.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Krishna. Without it, we will stop here. Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class and giving so nice answer to all the questions which devotees had asked. So devotees, let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatrupasya.
I will need Prabhu's number.
Krishna Dhan Prabhu's number.
Jai. Hare Krishna.